All right, what's up, everyone? This is Derek Hatch from All Things Narrative here. I'm so excited to be with you all, and welcome to the live stream. We got everyone that's coming in right now. This is going to be an amazing time that we are going to have together. And this live stream is for the Empowered Entrepreneurial Education, also known as E3. So we're going to do a panel today about unleashing your entrepreneurial business mindset. In other words, what does it take to succeed in business and in life itself, right? But as entrepreneurs, what are the things that we need to keep in the forefront of our minds in order to be the best version of ourselves that we can be? And we've got an amazing panel assembled here today that's going to help us explore this and have a thoughtful and meaningful conversation about all things entrepreneur. So we're going to go around real quick and have everybody introduce themselves. So let's go ahead and start. I'll just work my way around the screen. Let's go ahead and start with Christine.
Not sure she can hear.
All right, Christine, can you hear me?
She'll be with us in a second.
All right. So, while we're waiting for Christine, Marcy, if you can hear me, would you introduce yourself?
Hello and welcome to this first live stream of Empowered Entrepreneurial Education. I am Marcy Amaro. I am a self-leadership coach and a speaking mentor. So I help entrepreneurs and business owners differentiate themselves in the marketplace with their messaging, with connecting to people, and with really fine-tuning and tapping into who they are as an individual and what they bring to the marketplace that nobody else can.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marcy. It's good to have you. Next up, let's go ahead and have Nicole.
Good afternoon, evening, wherever you may be. Welcome in. My name is Nicole Morales Sancho, and I'm a creative financier, and I help people with life insurance, retirement planning, annuities, but just making sure that it's something that's very specific and catered to you, because your financial future is a work of art. So thank you, everyone, for coming in.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Love that financial future as a work of art. Let's go ahead and have Tori next.
Hi, I'm Tori Wren Eubanks. I'm a virtual assistant and owner of Renovate Business Solutions. I help small business owners and entrepreneurs with all the administrative pieces of their business. And thanks for having me here today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tori. John, why don't you go next?
Hello, everyone. So thank you very much for watching us. So my name is John Acosta. I am a digital marketer, and I assist small businesses with creating and planifying the strategies on how to reach their target audience. So, and I'm really proud of everybody that is here. Things don't happen unless you have great people around you, and everybody here is fantastic. So thank you all for being a part of this.
And thank you, John, for organizing this, for getting this initiative launched. And there's going to be a lot of exciting things that are going to come. So make sure you are following us on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram. I think, do we have LinkedIn? Are we on LinkedIn for this yet?
We have LinkedIn.
Awesome.
We're not using it yet, but it's coming soon.
Awesome. Yeah, you're definitely going to want to stay connected, especially if you are an entrepreneur and you are hungry and you want to find a sense of community with people who are like-minded, people who are on a journey towards bringing something new into the world. And so definitely follow us on social media for that. And so I don't know where Christine went, but hopefully she'll be back with us soon. In the meantime, my name is Derek Hatch. I'm your friendly narrative practitioner. And with All Things Narrative, we cultivate personal development through storytelling. And so that might be kind of a good place to start this conversation here, because when we talk about having a business mindset, there's a lot that goes into that, and there's a lot of different places depending on each person and our different stories that we're going to bring to the table. But that's a good place to start, is just this conversation about a story in general, right? Each and every one of us has a story that we're telling through our lives, and we are the character, we're the protagonist in that story, and we're on a journey. Now, what's interesting about being an entrepreneur is that your story is now involving the creation of a new story. So in other words, when you start a business, you are starting a new story. You are bringing a narrative to life from the beginning. and it's kind of like a baby, right? It's precious to us, and we're learning what that takes to raise this business into what it needs to be. And there's going to be trials and errors and hiccups along the way, but there's going to be successes and joys that we experience as well on this journey. And so when we think about the story of starting a business, each and every one of us in this room has a story for why we're here, why we're passionate about being entrepreneurs and starting a business. And so since this is our first live stream, maybe that's where we start, if that's okay, is maybe everyone just take a minute or two and just talk about, what is this, what's the story of you being an entrepreneur? How did you kind of find yourself there? And what is this journey meant to you? So wherever you want to take that. So and maybe through these conversations, we can kind of begin to open up a dialogue about a business mindset as well. So does anyone want to start with that?
Yeah, that sounds good. But also, Marcy has a boatload of knowledge that we would like to touch on in a second. But yes, that is a great starting point, Derek.
Absolutely. Awesome. And I do believe that everybody, in order to embrace the entrepreneurial mindset, it's important to understand where we're coming from, right? And where we're starting and why it is that we're drawn to this lifestyle. If we are not certain about why we decided to do this and why we want to stay in this life of business and entrepreneurship, there's a lot that's going to come our way, and we all know this. If we've ventured into anything for any length of time, we know that there's a lot that comes at us, right? And it's a big difference to be in an employee situation. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's very different in terms of how you approach your day-to-day business, right? The day-to-day things that you do. When you're an employee, somebody else tells you what the priorities are. Somebody else tells you what your next project is or what you get to focus on. When you're an entrepreneur, it's all on you, right? And most of us start this life because we want the freedom that it can bring. But it's important to understand that with that freedom comes the pressure and the burden of figuring out, okay, what is it that I really got myself into? What is it that is going to move my business forward versus just hoping that things come together? Plus, it's all on me, right? It's all on my shoulders. Nobody else is going to tell me what the plan is. Nobody else is going to tell me what to do. So there's a shift that gets to happen here, right? And as we tell our stories, I think it might be fruitful and helpful to talk a little bit about that shift. For instance, for me, I was a teacher for 20 plus some years, right? I started when I was 11. I'm kidding. But I was a teacher for a very, very long time. And so for me, my day-to-day looked like looking at a curriculum that was given to me and just going in there and sharing information. As I started into my entrepreneurial mindset or into my entrepreneurial life, my biggest shift was understanding that it was up to me to determine where my check was going to come from, how my day was going to be spent, what my focus got to be. And for me, working on creativity and on tapping into your own potential is the main reason why I do this. I want to see people elevate themselves to reaching their highest potential, because what I got frustrated with in the educational system was seeing all these kids with all this creativity and all this potential that wasn't being used. And they were very, very smart in ways that weren't recognized. But then in the school part, they might have felt like failures because they weren't good at math and science necessarily, but they were very creative minds, right? Or they were very active, and so they were deemed as troublemakers, when in reality, they just had all this creativity to unleash, right? So that's what drove me to start my own business, is seeing that as adults, we still struggle with finding our worth and finding our potential, because as kids, we were told that that wasn't worth it, that wasn't what was supposed to be shown, right? So shifting that and understanding that now I'm in a position where I get to do that for myself and for others, that was the biggest starting point.
Nicole, how about you? How you got started?
Great story, Marcy. I loved hearing that. It's always great to get to just know people and how they get to where they get to. For me, I come from immigrant parents, so my dad was just always very hardworking, and I think one skill that I didn't realize he taught me was just the sell, right? Especially coming from a different country. So I was always very creative, just wanted to do something that was just going to allow me that. So I went for graphic design, but I quickly realized that, working for someone else wasn't going to be, the way that I was going to achieve it, especially because I took that traditional route, worked with a marketing firm, and it ended up being they fired me, didn't really give me much of an explanation, and I was just pretty much running the agency almost on my own. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to do this for myself, because no matter what, sometimes other people don't appreciate your hard work. So I started a creative agency. That's what I did before I did financial services. And I honestly loved it, even though the entrepreneur life isn't always, a dream. You have to definitely look yourself in the mirror and know that you have strengths, you have weaknesses, and most times those weaknesses will come out. But it's a great journey, just getting to see how you can improve yourself. And then I got introduced to financial services, and I made that shift because one, I realized that my lack of financial education and my lack of just education in general, when it came to business, I didn't have that. And then from there, my creative and my marketing and my branding just all came together, which is why, I like to think that your finances and your future, they all come into this beautiful creation that we make. And, that's just been my journey with entrepreneurship for probably about like 5-6 years now that I've been, full entrepreneur. And I'm very, very glad for the opportunity. And now, through this platform, all of us getting together, educating others who might be on that journey, they might relate, they might feel like they're not living their highest potential. It's never too late to start. That's truly something that, I believe and I see every single day. So I'm very thankful to have met you all, and that, now we're changing it.
Mm-hmm. That is awesome. How about you, Tori? What got you started into the virtual assistant world?
Well, I have to agree with Nicole. It's never too late to start in an entrepreneurial role. I started in corporate and then transitioned out when my daughter was born and became a full-time stay-at-home parent that transitioned into a full-time homeschooling parent. And I retired from homeschooling last May when my daughter graduated, and had been working on building a business of my own for the past 2 years. And so that's how I transitioned from corporate to parenthood to homeschooling to now being an entrepreneur, using all of the skills that I've had through corporate and organization to be able to help other business owners in their ways of being able to increase their business.
Awesome. So, Christine, what got you started on this path? Christine, can you hear us?
I am probably the most unlikely entrepreneur. I can hear you. You can't hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
We can hear you.
Okay. I said I'm probably unlike entrepreneur. I spent 20 years in corporate America, raised my kids, and finally when their college was paid for and they were out of school, about a year ago, I said, okay, who needs money anymore? Let's go be an entrepreneur. Let's see how this works out. And really just taking all of those finance, accounting, business skills and translating them and bringing them to small businesses so that we can run our businesses the way that these really big corporations do. So that we have these strong foundations in place. We know the fundamentals, we do it correctly, so that we can grow and continue to be the support for the economy. We support the economy of small businesses, and if we do it better, then so much more better for the society that we live in.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Derek? What is your story?
So for me, it's very similar to a lot of things you have shared. So Marcy, I liked what you said about unleashing creativity, right? And Nicole and Christine, what you were talking about leveraging your strengths and your skills into somewhere specific. And Tori, with what you said about family. So basically for me, I had worked really great job that I enjoyed doing a lot. but I did realize that I was spending a lot more of the time of the job, not only like commuting and driving, but also just kind of doing things that were not within my skills and my strengths. And my creativity was not fully unleashed in the ways that it needed to be. And I found myself being so apart from, in terms of time, from my family. I have 2 kids, and I wanted to have that flexibility and freedom that you have as an entrepreneur, of having your hours and being able to decide where you're going to work, how you're going to work, right? And it's interesting because that's why we get a lot into this, but it's also can be challenging because it's overwhelming when you're starting, when you're trying to do the hustle and really get out there. And for me, it's worth it because I look back on my time before being an entrepreneur and I look on it now and I say, wow, I feel like my relationship with my kids, with my wife, with my own personal growth and development is so much stronger now because of these rhythms and patterns that come, that, you know, things are more challenging. Money is not as flowing as it was, at least not in the beginning, right? It's a lot of work, but it's more of, okay, how can I do what I love and serve people with it to the best of my abilities? And that's ultimately why All Things Narrative exists. It's because I believe that storytelling can help us. It can help us to be better people. It can help us to be more purposeful and intentional and creative. And I like the things you were saying, Marcy, is that I'm passionate about people and working with people, spending time with people and helping them to develop and grow. And so being able to create something that is not an approach that you're going to find anywhere else, being able to create something unique that's yours, that you want to bring into the world and offer to people, it's special. It's really a beautiful thing. And so it's an honor to do that. And I always like to say, I'll end with this, is that the greatest stories that we love as people are the stories that have challenges, the stories that have risk, the stories that have a sense of adventure, because we see in the protagonist's journey that it's worth it. And as entrepreneurs, we have to remind ourselves, even when it's challenging, that the story that we find ourselves in is worth it. Not just for the output, not just for making money and all that stuff, but there's something about being an entrepreneur that actually transforms us as people. Something that gives us a certain outlook, a way of how we see and engage the world. And it's a beautiful thing to see yourself grow and be challenged and to say, you know what? I'm not going to run from this. I'm going to face this. I'm going to run towards it, because I know that it's in the adventure, it's in the journey that great stories are told and lived.
Mhm. That is true. And in my case, I can see myself a little bit through each one of your stories, because my digital marketing agencies, Soul Entertainment, Art, and all the lines of business that I have been created because of the same thing. I saw, like, for example, the digital marketing, how it got started really was because I had a bunch of friends that they went to a web developer, and the web developer took the money, and after that nobody could find the web developer anywhere. He became part of witness protection. so so that was one thing that used to really upset me, because I knew how to do the websites and I knew how to do everything, but I couldn't help my friends because I had a regular 9 to 5 that used to eat my entire life. And little by little, I started hearing all my other friends that are entrepreneurs telling me, the pain it was to find a good marketing agency, somebody that really cared and it wasn't just there for the money, and then how expensive some of the tools are. And of course, for the big corporations that have the budget, it's nothing. It's like, oh, $33,000 a month? Fine. And as you all know, for a small business, $33,000 is not in our daily pocket, right? So that's why I got started. And then my story took me on becoming a single dad, and that's what brings me into Tori's situation. I became a single father. It's hard to manage or juggle 9 to 5, being a single dad and taking care of your kid the right way. So I can see a little bit of myself on each one of your stories, and brings me to the situation that most, if not all, entrepreneurs have that good quality of being good people and trying to help other people. So I really love to hear that from all of you.
That's so cool, Jenny. And it's a great segue into what I think would be a next stage in our conversation, right? Because we're talking about entrepreneurial mindset or business mindset. And I think that one of the things that distinguishes entrepreneurs is that while everybody notices what's wrong, entrepreneurs are the ones who sit down and say, wait, yeah, it's wrong, but what can we do about it? Right. So it's that solution focused mindset. And I would love to hear from all of you. What do you think about when you think about solution minded, right? So solution focused. How do you see that in as part of the entrepreneurial mindset? Anybody?
The solution focus, I think, is exactly our main passion or vision for our businesses.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Does anybody agree?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah. With being a virtual assistant, I mean, that's one of the things
Yes.
that I strive at doing is trying to be a solution to someone's problem and be able to bring skills and resources that I have to help take something off of an entrepreneur's plate where they could be better using their time somewhere else or using it to have that work-life balance to be able to focus more with their family.
Absolutely. I think Christine wanted to say something. There might be a little bit of a delay.
Yeah. One of the things I tell my clients is that I'm here to help them reclaim their time. Right? I'm a numbers person, so obviously I'm solutions. I'm always looking at what is the solution where 2 plus 2 will always be 4 when I work with my client, and they never have to worry about that end of things. So our company does focus on the financial solutions, making sure that your numbers, making sure that 2 plus 2 is 4 every time you open those books.
It's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. So in narrative practices, which is a huge part of my background, we talk about this idea that a lot of us in life have a problem saturated narrative that we find ourselves in. So we have a problem that dominates the way that we see things and the way that we operate in life, right? And this could be from small to big problems. Could be simple as we're not great listeners to we maybe there's an addiction that's holding us back. And what is cool about being an entrepreneur is it helps you transition from seeing everything and being chained to a problem saturated narrative and way of seeing your life and of seeing the world around you. And so in narrative practices, we talk about the alternative or the preferred narrative. Like if the problem didn't have this power and control over your life, how would your life story be different? How would your everyday life change? So as entrepreneurs, each and every one of us, whether it's us in this panel or just in general, for any entrepreneurs who are listening, we see an alternative narrative to the problems in our lives, in our society, in our culture, and in the world around us. And we're the ones who stand up and say, what if we tried this? What if we did it like that? And we present the alternative and we invite the alternative narrative to become the preferred narrative in someone's life for whatever their problem is, you know, and obviously not one business can solve all the world's problems, but each of us finds that niche. We find that unique place where our greatest passions and our greatest strengths intersect. And we offer that to the world and say, hey, if this resonates with you, then I'm here. I have something that I am offering, and I'm a guide that's here for you and your life.
Nicole, would love to hear from you.
I would say entrepreneur the big difference that like entrepreneurs it's just their mindset and thinking that like we just learn to solve problems faster and we just identify a problem, we know how to solve it. Whereas like when you're working in corporate that they don't really, always encourage that. It's like we have a system, we do this.
They have an SOP.
Yes, so as entrepreneurs, it's just all about, okay, well, how can we help this person solve this, very quickly because we're not afraid of that, right? That's just how our mindset is. We're ready to take on, entrepreneurs get paid by the, amount of problems that they solve. That's what we're there for, bringing solutions to people. So it's just definitely a lot more of a creative and fast-paced thought process that the other corporate, like we said, very robotic, and we play with that freedom, like we really enjoy it, whereas working for someone else can be very constrictive and not allow you to have that. So while we've talked a little bit about the fact that it's not always perfect or anything, that's where the funness is that we have the opportunity to try, fail, and even just see the success stories of all our clients. It's just through that beautiful process that comes through it.
That's awesome. And something you mentioned, I think, is really important, is the decision-making ability, right? Like when you work for someone else, and we're not knocking that, right? Not working for someone else has a lot of possibility and it has a lot of opportunity that being an entrepreneur doesn't, right? And there's a lot of stability in certain things that we might not experience as much, right? But when you are working for someone else, most of the time your decision making is constricted by the fear-based thinking around, do I get fired? Do I get in trouble? Am I going to be called into a corner and have a talking to, or what's going to happen, right? But when you are an entrepreneur, you're making decisions based on possibility. You're looking at, like Derek was saying, right, looking into the future at what's possible, and like Nicole was just talking about, and you make those decisions based not so much on what's acceptable within the culture of this company that I'm working for, but based on what possibilities do I see and how can I contribute to those possibilities, right? And in that sense, I look at entrepreneurship and small business ownership as the gateway towards possibility in the future of our nation and in our world, right? We are the leaders that are going to disciple other leaders that are going to take over and change the world for the better, I believe. What do you guys think?
And I was just about to, when I hear that is so powerful, because like you mentioned, the regular 9 to 5 has this culture, the business culture for the business. But when you're an entrepreneur, you're really supporting somebody else's life, because like Tori said and everybody here mentioned, we're freeing up time for those entrepreneurs. We're giving them a service, and we're creating a culture within our community. That's what sets us really, really apart.
Absolutely. We good? Any other thoughts on that? I think that when we look at the world, and one of the things that I think we can all agree on, right, is that leadership is lacking. We look at politics, we look at the school system, we look at societies in general, and we wonder, where is the leadership right now? And I think that one of the things that we get to bring as entrepreneurs is understanding leadership from a different perspective. That's why I gravitated towards self-leadership in my coaching, right? It's because we start by leading ourselves. And the way in which we lead ourselves opens the door for others to see the possibility of them leading themselves into other areas that we might not be gifted at, right? And also this idea of understanding and being really keenly aware of where our strengths and our weaknesses are. And I think all of us at one point or another have mentioned it already, right? The strengths and the weaknesses. The school system, unfortunately, and the school system, they're doing the best they can. I love teachers, my respect to them, right? But the system as a whole is training people to focus on their weaknesses and try to make them better instead of honing in their strengths, right? So everybody gets to be good at the same things, otherwise you don't succeed in this environment. But as entrepreneurs, we get to shift that conversation and those paradigms.
Yes. I agree with you 1,000% with that, Marcy, because the school system was created for the industrial era when everybody to be in a line in a factory and do the same thing and be really good and really fast at it. But life has changed,
Absolutely.
and education has not adapted to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's impressive to me to see some schools that are adapting and making the changes. That now they have, instead of carrying like my daughter does, her backpack is like a weight training kind of session every time you lift it up. But there's schools that now they teach you on an iPad, they teach you on a laptop, and they actually teach you for what's out there. Because let's look at the pandemic. What it did to all the businesses. It made them aware that without the internet, they if another pandemic comes, they may not grow. And that's how leadership grew and started. Zoom became this great thing when Zoom has been there forever and ever. So it really makes us recalculate. And that's why we always have to be on the mindset as a business owner of, okay, if this doesn't work, what if this? What if this? But be always ready to change.
So, let's see.
Yeah, John, I think that's so true. We have to learn as a society, and especially with entrepreneurs, we have to be adaptable, because things are going to change, things are going to break, things aren't going to work the way they used to or the way we think they're supposed to. So that adaptability is just really a wonderful skill that we need to really be working on and improving and embracing that as well.
Yeah, and I think that should be the foundation for the mindset, knowing that we don't have all the
remember,
answers.
it's something that can be taught.
Come again, Christine?
Right. Now, I was going to say, entrepreneurship is something that can be taught in school.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can teach that skill. Because
Yes.
I am not a natural entrepreneur. I am a business-minded 9-to-5 type of person. That structure no longer serves me. So you can absolutely learn how you can take all of those skills that you learned in school and you learned in corporate and transition that into really focusing on your strengths and not what's best for anyone else. But it's a skill that can be taught, and it's a skill that kids should learn, adults should learn, so that we have options and we don't all have to be part of the general workforce if we don't want to be, or we don't have to if that's not what we want to do. That there are other options out there for us.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mainly if, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say mainly if you have a passion for something and you have the backup that that the finances, you can manage it with whichever way you're doing it, jump for it, go for it, because you never know. You may be changing some people's life. I mean, in a way that you may have never even thought about. I have clients that, to me, as I mentioned, me building a website is not a big deal. It's not, but I do it with all the love in the world when a client comes up to me and asks me to build a website. But I had a client specifically almost 3 months ago. They had a website, and this person was disheartened. Their heart was in pieces because they had tried to make their website so many times on their own, because first they went through so many companies and gave them these high quotes. They couldn't afford it. And the second that I gave my quote that it was, within their budget, and we worked with them and everything, and the job was done, he has told me so many times, John, that website is what has changed my business. Look, his pride just went from 0 to 100 just because he had something that truly felt that represented his business. And in terms that help him with the autoesteem, the self-esteem. I was mixing Spanish, English, and everything. I'm so sorry.
All good.
Needed to present themselves with other prospective customers. And please, if I ever jump from one language to the other, please let me know, because sometimes I don't notice.
It's all good. We can do the Spanglish thing. No, but that's really cool. That's really cool what you're mentioning, because I think that's one of the most enticing things and the greatest possibility when we enter into the business world, right? Is understanding that we can focus on those things that we are good at, that are our strengths, that we're passionate about, and that they will make a difference in somebody else's life. And very often we look at our lives and we think, I don't have anything special to offer. What are you talking about? But we all have something that comes so naturally to us, we don't even notice that it's an asset until we discuss it with someone else and they go, you can do that? I can't do that, right? And suddenly there's this big flash of realization of, oh my goodness, what I have is marketable. And I never thought it was. I started my own business centered around the idea of listening. And people think everybody listens. No, not effectively, right? And when you start talking about how to do it in a way that is effective, that promotes connection, that promotes other things, people are floored by everything that listening entails. But to me, it was so natural. It was like breathing, right? So in that same manner, I'm sure that whatever your areas of genius are for each of us in the panel and everybody listening, it's so natural and so commonplace to you that you don't realize how valuable it can be to someone else. So start there. Start by looking at those things that come so naturally to you, you don't even have to think about it. And ask around and see how many people would love to be able to do those things as naturally as you do them. And start looking at how you can then start positioning yourself to offer those things. And I think that that's one big shift, right? It's going from who on earth is going to pay me for anything I can do to realizing that we all have something incredibly valuable to offer.
Mm-hmm. That is so true. So let's do a quick recap of everything we have covered. We have covered that being in business on your own, or being a solopreneur or entrepreneur, entails adapting, right? What else? Not everybody at once, but what else?
Shifting to understanding that the freedom that you crave for also comes with the responsibility of guiding yourself and leading yourself towards a specific destination.
Mm-hmm. Another
Being
thing,
solution driven.
yes,
Being solution driven.
Mm-hmm.
yes, absolutely, solution driven. Another thing that we spoke was education. That while regular school has given us some education, we need to do our own in order to grow.
Absolutely. And this idea of leadership and resourcefulness, right? In one way or another, we all touched on being resourceful, figuring out how to do or where to get. I like to joke that, those word problems that they give us in school, if Susie has 2 oranges and Billy takes 1, how much does she have left? Well, if Susie's an entrepreneur, she has 5 because she's going to charge him for 2 for the one that he took, right? So it's resourcefulness.
Yep. That is so true.
And I think we should give ourselves some grace in the process, that understand and we will falter to be patient and learn from what is not working so that you don't do it again.
Mm-hmm. That brings me to a really good realization. As an entrepreneur, we all should do our monthly, like, what did we do right? What should we not do again? That accountability kind of part on our end, it's so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, creating that space in your life, that margin too, because it's hard to have margin when you're an entrepreneur. It's hard to set a time aside to be like, okay, let me just journal, reflect. Let me think about, the highs and lows, right? And because you're always in this mindset of like, okay, I got to keep going. I got to push. I got a to-do list. I got more leads I got to follow. I got more clients I got to follow up with. And being able to, because the whole reason why we got in this, so that we can have flexibility. So don't jam it up with all this stuff that, we think we have to do. Being able to prioritize in our lives, just like what Christine said, margin and space. It helps us to have that grace, helps us to slow down and to acknowledge what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong, like what you just said, John. So I think being able to cultivate that in our lives it's crucial, because the business mindset is not just go, go, go all the time and do. It's also, how do I be?
That is true. I would love to hear at least one tip from your experience that you would like to give to an entrepreneur. Okay, so let's get started with Christine.
I missed the question.
Yeah. What would be the one tip that you would like to give to an entrepreneur? You know, imagine that it was you when you just got started. What would be the biggest advice that you'll give yourself?
I will go back to saying I need to remember to give myself permission to fail, but to keep going.
Okay, to be fearless, pretty much. If something goes wrong, keep going. Good. So, Tori, what about you?
Keep going. Okay, if it doesn't work out the first time, you have to persevere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Christine took my answer. That would have been what I wanted to say. But I think also having the courage to believe in yourself, that you can take whatever skill, whatever strength that you have, and turn it into something marketable to support yourself and to do that. So just having courage and believing in yourself, I think is the piece of advice that I would give.
Okay, believe in yourself. Awesome. Nicole.
I have a lot that are coming to mind, but I guess I would say discipline. Just learn discipline early on, and I blanked out on like what goes with discipline. Discipline and just you have to believe in yourself and have courage, but just assess, like, be okay with knowing that you have to look yourself in the mirror every day. And so discipline makes it easier to have emotional control too, because a lot of things from your past, will come out by looking at yourself. So emotional control, discipline really helps with all of that as an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm. Marcy, what will be your tip for the younger Marcy entrepreneur just getting started?
I think my greatest tip, aside from learn to lead yourself, right? Like Nicole was saying, your emotions and your discipline moving forward, I think is moving away from this idea of competition and moving into collaboration. I think when we start as entrepreneurs, we are so afraid that we don't have anything unique to bring. Well, you are the uniqueness. Nobody else can deliver what you can, because nobody else has your set of experiences. Nobody else has your personality. Nobody is who you are. Right? So don't worry about competition. There's no such thing. Collaborate with everybody, help everybody, because ultimately the people that will resonate with you will find you.
Yes.
That's good.
And what about you, Derek? Because you wear many hats in your business, just like all of us, but I've seen you in action. So
Yeah. So makes me think of a story. Surprise, surprise. So in one of the first workshops I ever did, I had no signups, and it was the morning of the workshop, and I was feeling pretty scared, pretty insecure, to be honest. And I was like, okay, I've spent all this money on Facebook ads. I've spent all this time trying to go to networking events and market this event and put up flyers places. And I still haven't gotten a single dang sign up on my website for it. So at the last minute, at the morning of, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna get the word. I'm gonna slash the price down. I'm gonna, take a third. I think I took a third of the price off or something like that, right? Hopefully reel somebody in. Maybe my price is too high. I don't know. But I had a couple people that morning that were like, I'm free tonight. I'll come. Cool. And I thought, oh, it's because I slashed the price, right? Like, okay, cool. Like, that's what I did, and that's what worked. So when I get there, I have somebody that paid the slashed price that I had set. So they paid that when they first got there. They did my workshop. It was a 2-hour workshop called Storytelling 101. And at the end of that workshop, there were 2 things that were really profound that I learned. And this is what I would give to entrepreneurs. Number 1, not a single person who showed up because I slashed the price. They were the right person that needed to be there, that resonated with what I had to say, and that's why they were there. And then the other thing that happened was this. The person who gave me their money beforehand, he comes up to me at the end of the workshop, and he gives me the extra money that would have brought it up to the cost of what I had originally set for the workshop. And he looked at me, and he said, "You're worth it. Don't undervalue what you do." And that really stuck with me, because I think you guys are right on that. And Marcy said, like, the right person, the right people, they're out there for you. And I think when we're in that stretching time as an entrepreneur, and it's like crickets and tumbleweeds on the dirt, and we're wondering, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Nobody cares about me and what I'm doing. It's pressing on and not giving up. And it's being able to say, okay, I really genuinely believe that what I am doing adds value to people and to society. So do I believe in that value? And being able to honestly ask yourself that. And when you do, go forward no matter what.
Yep, I agree wholesome on that, because my story is a little bit different than yours. Because here's the thing, most entrepreneurs, we come here wholeheartedly to help people. And just like you did, you wanted to help more people, so you said, you know what, maybe because of price they're afraid of coming in, and I slashed the price. And that's what a lot of people do. And there's people that also say, you know what, I really want to get my name known. And that's what happened to me. I want to get my name known. I want people to know what I do, and I want to give them the best service ever. And what has happened recently, and this just opened my eyes, like maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I had a meeting. You all know that when I used to offer 100% of free marketing strategy and a review of all your marketing for your business. Well, 2-3 weeks ago, I had a meeting with a prospect of a client, and this person, when I gave him the as I was taking notes and everything and telling him what could be done, this and that, this person actually said right there, "Oh, thank you very much for giving me all this information. I'm just gonna go ahead and hire a freelancer and get all this done." So I learned also that, you know, price is not only an issue, is never an issue to begin with, but it's also how you present yourself. So as an entrepreneur, this will be my advice for my younger self. And as you can hear very recently, you know, although we want to do it with all the love and we want to make sure that people win and succeed, you still have to put a roof over your head, food on your table, and clothe yourself. So don't sell yourself short by giving away your gifts and your values just because you want to help somebody else. So really put that out. I'm putting that out there because a lot of entrepreneurs have that mindset. I really want to help you. I really want to get you to the next level, but then who takes care of you? Don't forget about you along the journey. And when I say don't forget about you, I'm also talking about your education, about your reading, about your friends, about the people you hang out with. I am, like I said at the beginning of this meeting today, I am so proud to count with all of you as the people that I meet and talk to every day, because I know you're people with good values. And that's one thing that as an entrepreneur, you have to look for. So that will be my advice.
Well, thank you, everybody. This has been so insightful. Thank you, everybody, for sharing from your hearts. And thank you, everybody who joined, for watching.
Thank you. So everybody, until next time, okay, let's everybody say goodbye, and we'll see each other next Monday at around 2 p.m. Thank you.